All right. Well, hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sisters for Harmony. Please be sure to put your hellos in the chat room and also let us know where you are joining us from. We are super duper excited it's May 1st. And we all know that my birthday is in May. So that's what
we do.
We do. That's what it's about. Hey, ask Dr. Walls 525. That 5 is for May. So we are, but it is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and you know that's my passion, and I couldn't be more excited that Sisters for Harmony falls on the first day of Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're going to open up as we always do. I'm going to pass that mic to Brother Umoja so he can open us right. And then we're going to get into everybody being here. So go on, Brother Umoja, set us off.
I was just sitting there relaxing and enjoying the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to greet everyone in the name of God and our ancestors, on whose footsteps we must humbly walk. Understanding we all have a reason to be here, a season to be here, so let's use it to the best of our abilities.
Thank you kindly. All right, so we are joined with none other than the Vice President of Sisters for Harmony herself, who had been being pulled to work, so we understand it, but we're super excited to have her here tonight, so we celebrate her. So Ruby, I'm gonna pass the mic to you. Is there any opening you wanna? Yes, Ruby the Pearl Wearer Burke. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people?
No, I just want to say welcome and enjoy the show.
All right, and then we have the fabulous Dr. Ramontal, Ramen royalty herself.
I like that.
Dr. Ramontal, anything you want to say to welcome the people in before we get this conversation rolling?
Just hello, welcome, and engage, guys. Engage.
Mm-hmm.
How was your cheesesteak?
Oh, it was good. It was good. I was recently in Philly, guys, and got the Philly hospitality from Dr. Walls and Brother Umoja. It was great. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I have one special guest who I want to bring up just for about 2 to 3 minutes, not for a long time, because it's a very, very special day for her. For those who are new to watching us, new to the show, Sisters for Harmony is our registered 501c3 nonprofit, which focuses on empowering, mentoring, uniting, networking, really uplifting that next generation so that they are living on purpose and with purpose. And this person who I am about to bring on, I had the pleasure of meeting them, I don't know how many years ago now, but today was a very, very special day for her. So I want to bring her on so she can introduce herself to the world and let y'all know what happened today. So welcome to the show. She often joins us in the chat, but here she is now. So would you please introduce yourself to us?
Hello, my wonderful people. My name is Jamila, or Dr. Jamila. I defended my dissertation today and officially a doctor.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. It has been a long road, and having Dr. Walls in my corner has just been like a true blessing, honestly.
Thank you. So tell them what your doctorate is in and what your dissertation was on.
So my doctorate is I have a PsyD in counseling psychology. And my dissertation really focused on the attachment styles between a woman of color, between an adult child and their father. So it really looked at how having a father incarcerated impact women of color's ability to attach to other people, to develop healthy attachment styles with their partners, with their family members, and just see the world through a healthy lens. And I found that, a lot of those women of color who have a father incarcerated have these negative attachment styles, and it really negatively impact their ability to see themselves in a healthy light, to see themselves progressing in life and just being their true greatness. Like they're just allowing themselves to be all that they can. And it really touched my heart because I have a father who's been incarcerated for 33 years, my entire life. And I wanted to know if there were other people like me who were struggling. And I found that they were. And I know that I can come into this world and make a change for them by just trying to understand who they are. And I don't know, making a space where they can be comfortable enough to say, I'm struggling and I need help. So my dissertation really focused around that. I'm sorry for being all scrambled up, but I really focused around that. And it was powerful. Like, I never expected my lens to translate in so many different ways in a room full of so many diverse people, you know?
Yeah. Yes. And you are not scrambled. You are very clear. We get it. We are connected to it. We are proud of it. Proud of you, excuse me, and the work that you've done. I'm going to
thank you.
Throw up all these congratulation messages. I'm going to ask the group here, do you have anything that you'd like to say to her as I'm pulling up these congratulatory messages from the chat room?
Thank you.
I just want to tell you, well, one, congratulations again. And two, I mean, your voice is very powerful. And I implore you to continue being a force out there in the work that you're doing, because it's very unique and it's very needed. So congratulations and much blessings for the future.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate such the kind words, and just being recognized in this powerful platform is amazing.
Ruby,
you ladies are
aspirational. So I thank you. Go ahead, Ruby.
You already know what I'm going to say.
Sir.
It sounds like a book in the making.
Tell us.
Oh my, a book.
Yes.
More writing.
Yes. See, Dr. Ramontal, it wasn't me. It wasn't me this time.
It wasn't only you, I know.
Look, but actually it was also. I just hadn't told her yet.
Oh, I knew it was coming. Once you said I should do more research, I was like, oh, okay. How long of a break do I have?
Yeah, I told her I'm gonna give her a couple days to just soak it in, rest.
Oh no, days?
Yeah, she getting a couple days. It might add up to a week or two. Brother Umoja, what you have for Dr. Rivers today?
Well, I just want to congratulate her, because what she did is so challenging by itself. To get your PsyD or your PhD, but then to take that topic, which is a huge issue in all communities, but especially in the African American community, we see what happens when, we all know what happens when a father is not present in a girl's life, a daughter's life, or a boy's life. So what you just did is just peel back a couple layers of an onion and expose something that needs more exposure. So congratulations on doing that.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I think back to one of the meetings you guys had maybe 2 months ago, and you were talking about the understanding that we developed. And I started to think about the understanding of some of the people I was interviewing and how they didn't have that. Like, they didn't have that understanding of who they were, of what love is supposed to be like, what respect is supposed to be like, what protection is supposed to look like. And it made me really want to find a way to create a space where it doesn't necessarily teach them how they have to be, because it's universal, but more so just saying, okay, this is what I need to feel safe, and this is how I ask for it, and this is how I set boundaries around it. And the people that I energetically connect with would then just be that person, that protective person, that understanding person, instead of people that are there to just continue that hurt, if that resonates. So it was a lot of the meetings that you all had, and just the way you guys speak to us as viewers was very powerful and very aspirational throughout my process as well. So I thank all of you.
Thank you. You are welcome. I know better than to wear non-waterproof makeup around her. This is about the second or third time today. During the defense, she had me tearing up. After the defense, she had me tearing up. I'm just so incredibly proud of her, and just you know, I wanted to give her this voice, this opportunity to introduce the newer version of herself to the world, to claim the letters that now exist in front and behind her name.
Yes.
And to be that inspiration to others. Yes, clack it. And to be that inspiration to others, that just because this life circumstance happens to be a part of your life, it does not determine all that you are able to accomplish and do.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We got to remember what we're fighting for.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well,
Thank
we're going to let you get back to celebrating you. And you already know I'm going to keep shaking this for you. Come on. You know. You know.
Yes.
All right.
You.
Take
I'll
it
have
all
the book
in.
from me. I will.
Right. All right. Talk
Thank
to you.
you.
Bye-bye.
I'll be everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
All right. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. What a way to start off Mental Health Awareness Month, right? With a brand new psychologist in the world and a woman of color. I'm like, it don't get any better. It's May 1st and we are starting this thing strong. And, you know, the theme for Mental Health Awareness Month 2025 is turn awareness into action. So it emphasizes the importance of not just recognizing mental health issues, but also taking concrete steps to address them and improve support for individuals and communities. And by her doing the work that she's done over the years, she did exactly that, right? It is definitely that action has been taken. Now, one of the things I want us to do tonight, because we have a very group here where we have African Americans, we have Caribbean Americans, we have we're all in different locations of the US. We've all had different upbringings. And there's this topic of mental health. And I'll start out by saying, as a child, I remember my mother saying to a family member who said they wanted to see a psychologist when they were little, he was like, Black people don't go to therapy. That's not for Black folks. So the irony of her daughter becoming a doctor of clinical psychology, right? Where this was something where we were told we don't go to therapy. We keep that stuff at home. You don't take our business out in the street. But it didn't resonate with me. And by the time I was 12 years old, I knew that this was what I wanted to do, even though I didn't have a clear understanding all of what it was. But I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. So, Dr. Ramontal, you have Jamaican background, you have US background, female, so forth. Mental health, what did you learn about it? What did you know about it?
It was actually very similar to your experience. I think Jamaican culture in particular, but I think on Caribbean on a whole, is you do not air your dirty laundry, because anything you speak about, you know, you're afraid of who knows who, and that it would be let out to other communities, and what would people say, what would people think. I will say that both of my parents nurtured environment where we came to them to talk to them about anything. They were like, even if you think you're going to be in trouble, we are always here for you, and we're the first to advocate for you. So always come to us and tell us. And if you can't tell us, tell a trusted family member. So that was always open. But in terms of mental health, no, it was always seen as those services are for people with a mental illness, not because you need to cope because of maybe grief, a tragedy, losing a job, divorce, whatever, you know, and it's all about coping. And I think my mother is a nurse, a retired nurse, and I think she understood the importance of it, which is why she was so open with us. But I still think the Caribbean community on a whole was really not that open to it. As a matter of fact, I feel like it's just started opening up since the pandemic. Yeah. And that's because of the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I have a lot to say of what you said, Ruby. I'm going to pass the mic to you. Thoughts, experiences, growing up, present now.
Yeah, and my experience is that, when we were growing up, my aunt, she had a mental illness, and my mother put the fear in us that you don't talk to anybody about it, she'll be okay. But she wasn't. She just had a mental illness, and you don't talk to anyone. And for me, when I was involved in domestic violence, I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't tell anybody outside of the home. So it took me to go to therapy to really know and to figure out what was going on in my head and why that was going on. Yeah. So I think it's definitely necessary. Yeah. And it didn't really start coming out until after the pandemic. A lot more people started voicing what was going on, being in close quarters with people that you're married to, but you don't know.
Real talk. Wow. Real talk. Thank you. Brother Umoja, how about you? You have a lot of different intersections here. You're male. You're a Black male. You're a Caribbean American male. There's a lot of pieces here. You're married to a doctor of clinical psychology. There's a lot here.
Well, basically, you're telling the audience to pray for me, right? Okay.
I think it's National Prayer Day too, so now it's right on point.
Let's Pastor McCarter.
He's currently praying. All right, he checked in with us.
No, I think being from the Caribbean, it's kind of interesting what Dr. Ramontal said, because that's something is like so taboo in the Caribbean. I think you find it up here, and growing up between the U.S. and the Caribbean, and being older now, I see that when you talk to some of the elders, I think it's something that followed us out of enslavement. Don't show your weakness, because if you do, they'll use it against you. You think about that, because we always had this in our community. And they'll say, oh, he hit his head, or she hit her head, or something's wrong with her head. And they gave all these excuses and never looked at the reason this was going on.
Yeah.
And so traveling between the Caribbean and the U.S. growing up, and now I'm older, I'm like, the program has never been changed. And we know working on a computer, if you don't change the program, it's going to keep running and running and running. No matter how many years you go into it, it's going to keep running and running. So I think when you look at what you had going on in this country, segregation, and what we had going in the Caribbean, colonialism, the challenge of the people's mental health was a way of keeping them in check, or keeping them below so-called the average people, or so-called the normal people. They found this, so I think our ancestors found ways to hide it, so that way it couldn't be used against them. And since the program was never changed or updated or fixed, we kept it going into the 20th century and into the 21st century. And because of the pandemic, it forced everybody to look at each other like, holy cow, because all of a sudden you had hundreds of people dying every day from the same thing. So it was such a hard hit to not just to the U.S., but to the world. And it forced us to look at the mental stability of people who were losing 2, 3, 4 loved ones within a week. So the pandemic forced us to look at the mental health, not just of the individual, not just of the country, but of the planet. And I think maybe that's what happened right there when we look at the whole thing.
Yeah, there was definitely a collective response to it. And there was also finally permission, right? Because historically there hadn't been permission, unless usually it came with addictions. Those individuals were usually allowed to express what they had been repressing and trying to suppress with their various vices. And this was finally a permission for people to say, you know what, actually, I haven't been okay. You know what, I have been feeling a lot of different ways. You know what, I've had these trauma experiences and these aggressions and these microaggressions and these macro assaults, and all of these different things have been happening to me over time, and they've been wearing me down. They have been stressors. And one of the things that I do want to highlight at this moment, and I didn't say this at the top, if you are new to the show, welcome. Please subscribe to Ask Dr. Walls 525. Anytime you join one of my shows, please make sure that you have a pen and paper or some way to take some notes. I'm about to give you some right now, so get ready. Dr. Ramontal mentioned it. And that's that there is a difference between mental health and mental illness. All right. And we need to understand what that difference is. And so there, obviously you can do a quick Google search, but I'll just give it to you at the moment. When we're talking about mental illness, we're talking about something, a diagnosis, right? So it's a diagnosable condition that affects the person's thinking, feeling, their mood, and or their behavior. And it usually causes significant distress and or impairment in their ability to function in their daily life. So that impairment has to be there for one to receive that diagnosis. Now, when we're talking about mental health, this is where we're talking about our own emotional, psychological, and social well-being. We're talking about our coping skills. We're talking about things that affect how we think, we feel, we act. It's going to change based on person to person as well as life circumstances. So we all can have really great, positive, uplifting days. We can also have sad moments, but it doesn't mean that we have a depression diagnosis. We can have anxious moments, but it doesn't mean that we are diagnosed with anxiety. All right. So there's a difference between mental illness and mental health. And
behavioral health.
And go ahead, talk about it, Dr. Ramontal.
I know, only because it's used interchangeably, but it is different, you know. And I know that behavioral health is a little bit more of a broader term that actually encompasses mental health, but it does address your behaviors, your habits, your impact, your overall well-being, including your physical health. So a lot of times people will wonder, well, what's the difference between mental health and behavioral health? There is a difference, you know.
That's right. That's right. And as I want you to, you know, you have your nursing foundation. Let's talk about some of the physical, that mind-body connection where physical health and mental health are interconnected.
Yeah, I think your lifestyle choices, you know, that obviously impacts your health outcomes, your actions, your habits. And if you're suppressing things, maybe because you don't have an outlet like someone who is skilled in mental health, you know, a therapist, a psychologist, then those kinds of things, they get exacerbated. It can include substance abuse disorders. It can be stress-related physical symptoms or some other behavioral factors, you know. And it's funny because we were just talking about the differences, you know, in cultural and in our upbringing with it. And I recall that my cousin was telling me that those who grew up going to college, like in Jamaica and throughout the Caribbean, if they wanted to study psychology, they would study it, but they could not come back home to practice because it was almost unheard of. It's like, who's going to be your client? No one's going to be there. So everyone basically moved abroad if they studied psychology to open up a practice or to practice somewhere else. Now, since the pandemic, many of them have gone home and they're thriving. They have too many clients. They have to find other people to hand them off to. So I just think it's really interesting, that dynamic.
Yeah. Ruby, what you thinking?
No, I mean, it's good that they're able to go back and find people now. It's just sad that it took the pandemic for people to come out.
Yeah. Brother Umoja, how about you?
No, you know, what she said and what Ruby said is so sad. It took this tremendous issue to make people see that this is something they needed. Because it has always been needed in the community in the Caribbean. But because for certain factors, people just pushed it to the side. I mean, I remember a few years ago, they were talking about how the suicide rate was going higher and higher with young people in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And it's like, they talked to one young lady and she said, I have no one to talk to about my problems. I have no one to talk to. And I'm like, that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then she was saying that, I remember it was like so sad listening to her talk about her friend who had committed suicide. And people were scared that she might do it. So because it was so close. And you look at and then they were going into the reasons, and and to me the baseline was that these young people felt they had no way out.
Yeah.
They had no one to talk to, no one to reach out to. And it unfortunately took several of them to take their lives before I just know about St. Lucia, I don't know about the other islands, that finally the governments and people started looking at this. They had a serious problem on the island.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what happened since then, but I just remember reading it. It was kind of sad that it took this situation to happen for them to look at the problem, because the problem was always there.
Right.
The issue was always there. They just never addressed it. They swept it underneath the rug. They pushed it to the side, or they gave you some reason. They gave you some reason why not to talk about it. Man up. Oh, come on. That's just the way we live.
Yeah.
Always has some excuse.
Yeah.
And it took something like that. And same thing, the pandemic. It took the pandemic to make people say, you know what? We need to talk. We need to start talking to people.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it always take in electronics, we always said, OSHA always said, unfortunately, someone had to be hurt or lose their life for OSHA to pass, for OSHA to step in and make some laws to protect people. Right? And unfortunately, that's what we are. So, unfortunately, that's what we are. Sometimes, as human beings, sometimes someone or a group of people have to be seriously injured or hurt or killed before we actually step in.
Yeah,
so it's a problem.
So this is definitely why we're having this conversation tonight. So it doesn't have to continue, right? That's the way that it had been, but it doesn't have to be that way anymore. And being able to talk about our feelings. Brother Umoja and I did a career day the other day for middle school students, and it was the Dream Expo with Dr. Kristen Motley. And there were probably probably about 50 middle school students between 4th grade and 8th grade. And
a little number, but yeah.
And being able to talk to them, I did a presentation on addressing your feelings, identifying your feelings, and beyond what I call the Sesame Street emotions, happy, mad, and sad. Right? There's more than that. And we have to learn how to identify them. We have to learn what they feel like in our body. And we have to learn how it impacts our behavior. So as people are listening, I want you to start writing down, how do you know when you're stressed out? How do you know when you're, Dr. Ramontal, what was that? I saw that thought. What was that?
You can't blink around her.
No, I know.
It's just a Jamaican cow foot.
Look, I know my clients are like, good, she getting somebody else to set us for a change.
It's interesting only because of some recent developments with me. Like I recently left a job because of the stress level, and I left without having something else. So it was a complete walk of faith, but I could no longer handle the level of stress and the work that came down, where they were piling on more and more, despite me saying, okay, I'm approaching burnout. And when you have people who are considered your top producers telling you what's wrong and you ignore it, what am I to do? I kept saying to myself, should I just continue? Because I've never left the job without having something else. And I just said, let me try. But the stress was overwhelming. And it did take on a physical component where I started to feel it. And I also brought it home. My children could feel it. My husband could feel it. And I was like, that's not fair to them, And I just said, it's not worth it. At the end of the day, I'm replaceable at work, but I'm not replaceable at home. So it's just a job and I'll find another.
Yes.
And I left. So the stress level was overwhelming when you find yourself not sleeping, more irritable. I had a little bit more headaches, things like that. And I kept saying to myself, I didn't have these things before, but it was all of the tension that was building up and the stress level. And I recognized that. And that's where I was like, I'm not going to let this job kill me. So I was just like, I'll walk away.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's right. Come on, Dr. Rivers, remembering things that I said. Yes. Every opportunity isn't an option.
It's true.
Right? We have to pay attention to how it is impacting us. We have to pay, you know, I'm getting ready to do a presentation Saturday with with one of the AKA organizations about Black Superwoman Syndrome. And, you know, learning how to say no and, you know, practicing radical self-care and learning to put boundaries up. It becomes very important. Go ahead, Dr. Ramontal.
The boundaries thing. So that struck a nerve because let me tell you, when you don't set them from the beginning, it's as if you created a problem for people when you implement the boundaries. I don't know. When I first went to the job, I was so happy and thought it was my dream job that I was stay up late, get up early, do these things because I was excited. But then after 2 and 3 and 4 years of that and no change and then piling on more, I started blocking off the calendar after hours, before hours, so you couldn't reach me. Oh, well, we have this now. And I was just like, I have all this on my plate. Not sure I can do that. And I started getting the 1-word answers. Yes, no, people being a little more cold to me. I didn't care because I had to protect myself, self-preservation. But at the end of the day, I just kept saying, you know, how do you work to put those boundaries in place in the beginning? I think it's easier for me outside of a job environment, but sometimes when you're in a job environment, it's a little different. And how do you set that in the beginning?
I think, you know, that's so powerful what she just said. And when you think about it, we all need to put boundaries down and respect your boundaries. You don't put realistic boundaries down. Because the fact of the matter is, businesses, corporate America is about the bottom line, being successful, making money. And they will do, unfortunately, a lot of them will do whatever they need to do to make that money, to make that profit, to get their numbers up. If it means burning you out, they will. If it means, you know, whatever. Unfortunately, some of them are like that. There are some companies that really take their employees to heart, to make sure their employees are taken care of. But when you, at the end of the day, it's about the numbers. So they need you to work an extra 2, 3, 4 hours. If they need you to work on a Saturday and a Sunday, you know, they will push you. So you have to have boundaries where you say, no, I'm not doing that. No, I cannot do that. My family is more important. And you have to stick to the boundaries.
It's so true.
If you don't stick to your boundaries, they will. They will push it and push it and push it until you break. And then what would they do? Get someone else to take your place. So that's what it comes down to, unfortunately.
Go
ahead, Ruby. What you thinking?
No, I was just thinking, the job I left, you know, my work ethic is excellent.
That's right. Pat yourself. We know.
And so I used to go in early and stay late. And I had a concert or something to go to one day, and I was leaving, and they said, "You're leaving half a day," and I was like, "No, this is my normal time that I should get off."
You're living half a day.
Yeah, and no one could believe it. And you know, when I came in the next day, that Monday when I came in, they said, "We heard you left early." No, I didn't leave early. I left at the time that I'm supposed to leave.
Wow.
They couldn't understand that. And I was just getting so burnt out. Weekends, I'm answering the phone for customers for emergencies. And I'm like, I'm not on call. I'm not a supervisor. Why are you all calling me on the weekend? But they call because I answer, because I give them the help that they need. And after a while, I was just like, I couldn't do it anymore. And where I am now, you know, is it time for you to go? don't you have a family you need to go home to or do something? Yeah, but I wanted to finish this. It's just going to take out. You know, so the companies were they're so different.
Wow.
You know, they want you to have that family work-life balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of companies know that if the employees are happy and comfortable and mentally comfortable, they will get more productivity out of the employees on a higher level. And so you have a lot of companies who respect that, and you have a lot of companies that say, well, we're just going to burn you out until we can't get no more from them. We're going to replace you. And so that's why setting the boundaries for yourself put you in a position where you could say no much easier than saying, oh, I gotta stay. Listen, I've worked in, I'm not gonna mention the states, I've worked in states where the supervisor will just come by and say, you need to stay. And I used to see the mothers, the women scrambling to call to get someone to pick the kids up at school, take care of them. And they were crying. I was in college, so I was like, it didn't bother me. I was like, but they didn't bother me. And I was just like, I felt really bad for the women because they were being tested and being pushed, and they didn't feel they could push back. And and they used to sit there and I used to watch them, and they used to be, some of them used to be physically trembling. And I was like, wow. And for me, like I said, I was in college. It didn't affect me like that, but it affected me watching them. Hurt like that because they were really cool. They were my co-workers. And so so I think as we look at mental health, it takes on so many different angles in our life that I think listening is very important. I think that's what you clinicians do, is listen and try to help people rebalance themselves.
Yeah, it's listening. Yeah, it's listening to others and also teaching others to listen to themselves. Because just like you said, there is that trembling that happens. There's that nausea that happens. There's that increase in fatigue and irritability, the headache, the pressure. All of that happens, and sometimes you're not paying attention to it for the sake of an identity known as having an excellent work ethic, right? And so just because you're honoring your boundaries and leaving on time, or in Ruby's case, taking half days that are authentic work hours, shifts, right? That she signed a contract for that says you work from this time to this time. Right. We have to learn to honor that. I have to know what it feels like in myself. I mean, Edmund watches me work. He knows. And it's like, sometimes he'll say to me, enough, right? Close the computer, put the phone down. I'm not saying I always listen. I'm 100%. I don't know. Right. Because like Ruby, sometimes it's that I want to get it done. And so I end up pushing forward, but then I have to pay attention to how does that feel to me. I have to know when I'm pushing to get something done and when I'm overextending. And now when I've moved into overextension, now that leads me to the possibility of illness and fatigue and stuff like that. But these were things that I had to learn over time, which is why I'm telling people, pay attention to how you're feeling. Pay attention, right, to that irritability. You can hear it in your voice tone. You can notice it in your tolerance. You can, right, you may have an eye roll. We got two island people here that give choops. So
Ruby, where are you from, Ruby?
Dr. Ramontal, would you please show the people what a choops is for those who don't know?
And that's
Jamaicans will call it chips, a kiss, a little kiss, but yeah, a lot of others will. It's
that's right.
And it's like your lip does it.
Yes,
all the way around. So, like, are you kidding me?
Right. So, right, you catch yourself doing those types of things, or somebody catches you doing it, that's a signal that I've crossed over, right?
I've put the camera off on the Teams call and the Zoom calls because it got to that point and made sure I was on mute because I was like, I can't. And I had to do that so frequently. I was like, it's time to go.
That's a mental health exhale.
Yes,
internationally known by everyone on this planet when they hear that, because we see it in the Caribbean, in Africa, we see it here in the South. When people hear that truth, no matter how it comes out, they know,
That's right. It has crossed over. It has crossed over. Jerecia is cracking up. She knows. Yes, that's right. Chris said, she said universal.
So we laugh about it, but that is a single to people. Now, universal, it's a single people that
right.
I think you push that person too far. I think you cross that line with that person. So when they hear it, they're like, what did I do? Some people just negate it and say, I don't care. Some people, but a lot of people will hear it and they'll take a step back and say, what did they do?
Yeah.
So I think for us as humans, we have certain points or certain things that we do to put people on notice. Because if we stomp our foot or we look at you and say, I'm going to the restroom, like women say, pick the bag. I'm going to the restroom when people say, she's upset. I'm going for a smoke. I'm taking a smoke break. So there's certain things that we do because, and it sends a signal to people around us. But now that's just like trying to put a fire out with a little teacup. What do you do? Because when you come back, it's still there. So who do you speak to about these things?
I was just about to ask the same question. I was going to say sometimes they ignore those things, even though it's not in your character. Like it's out of character for you to do a chips, to just roll your eyes and things like that. So, but when they ignore it and continue, then they kind of change it, turn it around and make it look like you are an unreasonable person when actually the treatment that
and we hear that a lot about our women. It's she's just this, they have all these negative things they say when a woman do that. But I'm like, sometimes when I'm being around women all the time, I'm like, why did she do that? What happened that made her take it to that point? And sometimes people are like, I don't know. And like, yes, you do know. You just didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
And that's something.
What's the effect, right?
What happened?
What'd you say, Dr. Ramontal?
They never look at the cause, only the effect. Like, why did she blow up, or why did she this? And honestly, they don't look at all of what they've done that was built up to that
compounded effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting you say that in being I have my degree in electronics, and going in as a technician, and people say, this happened. I say, but what happened before that? What happened before that made that happen? And the same thing, like, why did we were in California for our grandkids, and we saw one of them have a meltdown, and we said, okay. So we looked at what happened before he had the meltdown, and there was singles. He gave us singles before, and then the meltdown happened. It's just like, okay. So now we knew next time we said, okay, he's getting to that. We get to that point. Okay, let's calm him down a little bit. Let's do this. Let's do that, because children do it. They give you singles before they melt down. We just don't care. It turns into the singles. And I think it's humans, and they grow up as adults. Adults have singles they give. You could be tapping your fingers on the table. You better be you give singles off, but I think in respect to human beings, I think we should just try to understand. I had a vice president in Sisters in Harmony, and she had singles. I said, I just say, and I just walk away because I knew what was coming next, and I didn't want to be around. But I said, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And then so I don't want to talk about it. Or she'll say something to me, but the point is just respecting that space. Give her a little bit more, give her some space. And she usually sooner or later she'll say something to me, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize I did that? Really? I'll apologize. But sometimes, you know, we just have to be respectful to someone's space and see what can we do to help them in that space. Sometimes it means just backing away, sometimes it's being quiet, or this, you know, but it comes to the territory, and I think we have to respect that space. I had the opportunity last week, Dr. Walls, as you know, I went to see some Muslim friends, clients, and they invited me to pray with them in a mosque. Now I could have said no, but I was like, why not? So I got an opportunity to relearn some stuff praying in a mosque. And it was pretty cool. I was like, you know, this is really cool. I'm looking at, and it helped me understand their culture, their people better. And doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but I respect it. And I learned last week when I was in the mosque praying with them. I was like, wow, here I am in the mosque. This is probably the third time in my life I've been in a mosque praying. And every time I've been invited in. And just the way you stand, the way the men stand, and where the men stand in respect to the women, and so vice versa, it just makes you understand the culture. And that comes down to, again, you know, mental health. So now we have so many Muslims in the area around. We get to understand them better.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that you said, right, it is that self-awareness. And I think that becomes it is very important when it comes to mental health, because you have to learn to understand your signals. You have trusted friends, family, co-workers who go, did you notice this? Or it sounds like this. And you have to be able to listen and to receive it so that you can make those necessary adjustments, because as things become more compounded, right, the stress level starts to get higher and it becomes like a pressure cooker. And so we have to find out what are our ways, what are our strategies for relieving that pressure, so that we are attending to our mental health the same way we would attend to our physical health. When things are making us sick, we stop doing that. If I'm eating rotten cheese and I know it's causing my stomach to turn, I'm going to stop eating rotten cheese. But yet, if I keep going into a work environment that's causing my stomach to turn, why do I keep going into that work environment? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And if I'm not addressing what's bothering me, expecting for the miraculous moment to happen without addressing it, again, it just doesn't make sense. So we have to learn how to tend to our mental health needs the same way we would tend to our physical health needs. And we can make the request. Now people can choose to ignore. So then we have to make new decisions for ourselves, because I'm not going to create an ulcer for myself. I'm not going to have stress-related disorders for myself when it is my responsibility to care for myself. And even if that means I need to shift location on what I'm doing. And sometimes it may have been the dream job at one time, be it working for somebody else, be it creating your own job, creating your own type of business. But as you grow, change, evolve, that dream job can shift to a nightmare, right? And it is our responsibility to lead our lives for our greatest good. And so it's constantly staying in tune with who we are and what it is that we want and what works for us. And so as we get ready to shift, because we have about 10 minutes left in the show, what are some of those healthy things that you do to rebalance yourself? What are those coping skills that you use? I'll start. Today here in Philadelphia, it was an absolutely beautiful day outside. The sun was shining. It was about 79 degrees and a light breeze. I'm preparing for a presentation next week, and I felt myself getting kind of antsy and unable to really concentrate and produce like I wanted to. And so I just shut everything down. I got something to lay on outside in the grass. I took my shoes off and I allowed my toes to feel the earth. I laid there for a little while. I called a friend. We busted it up for a little while till my phone overheated. And I recognized that it was divine quiet time now for me. So then I began to do some stretching activities because I needed to open my hips up because I sit most of the day. And so tending to those hip openers, and as soon as I could feel the pressure release in my hips and my lower back, I could also feel the pressure release in my head and then open me up, hearing the birds, feeling the fresh air, looking at the different colors, feeling the sun, and then taking a nap. Like all of those things to rebalance myself. I also journaled. Like I couldn't do just a one and done. I had to do all of these different things to recenter myself and then come back in. As I talked to a friend, she was like, "What did you eat?" And so I had to start thinking about, had I eaten enough for the amount of producing output that I was doing? And what was I choosing to eat, right? We got to look at all of these different pieces. Go ahead, Dr. Ramontal, what are you thinking? And Ruby, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, no, you touched on all of the areas that I would and have pursued to try and have an outlet for coping with stress, extreme stress. You know, I love to walk outside. I don't want to be on a treadmill indoors. If that's what you have, by all means, use it. But
I'm a treadmiller.
Yeah, I just need the fresh air, and if the sun is out, even better. And then stretching, the grounding, whatever it may be, the journaling. Firmly believe in that, and I've been away from that for a while, which it compiles. It needs to get out of you. And I have a friend that's a writer. She says, "Get it out of you and onto the page."
That's right.
You know, and I agree. I think a lot of times people remain in some of these situations, even if they don't recognize some of the behavior changes or physical changes, honestly, for the paycheck. And just reality is, it is what it is. If you don't have an alternative, or it's difficult, or you're the only breadwinner, you don't have backup, things like that. In my case, I had to think about that really, really hard. And for me, what I said was, you know what, at the end of the day, my mental health is first. And I had to say, I would prefer to hustle and have my mental health than to remain in this and have them run me into the ground for the paycheck, what I consider the steady paycheck, which they could drop you at any moment. But at the end of the day, I was just thinking, wow, I'm steady. I don't have something, but it was ruining me. So I chose to go with the mental health. And if I have to hustle, I'm better for it mentally, that I can go out here and do 1, 2, 3 different things if I had to, but I feel better. Physically, I feel better.
Yeah, real talk. Ruby, before you start, I'm going to bring up Dr. Jamila Rivers said, "I take a moment to pause, check in with myself, and ask what I need to express. If sadness is the emotion I'm grappling with, I find comfort in watching a sad movie and letting my tears flow freely." I love that. Yeah, I'll do that with music too. Go ahead, Ruby. How about you? What are some strategies that you use?
Well, I have a couple of things. One is when someone or something irritates me, I give it a time frame. If it's small, I give it 30 minutes. If it's big, I may give it an hour or so. But I'm also I journal every night, and I don't know what my computer is doing. I journal every night, and I do I'm doing reading the Bible in a year. So I got the little book. You might have seen it on Facebook. I got the book, and it gives you different scriptures to read. So each night, and so I do that. But for me, my biggest thing is my sauna. And I noticed the change in me because the motor broke. And so and it's an external little motor. And I kept saying, I need to get someone to fix it for months. And then I would fix it. It's a little teeny thing. Buy another one. So I bought another one. But over the months, I could feel that something's missing. Something's not right. I'm off balance here. And so I actually came in about 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, I've been in it almost every night. And someone said, "Isn't that dangerous?" I'll find out. But in the meantime, I'm mentally relaxed. So when I go, I will be relaxed.
Ruby said it's dangerous. If I don't, y'all better watch out.
Exactly. So, but I love that. It's just relaxing. And I found myself watching stupid stuff on TV.
Yeah.
That was the time that I would normally be in my sauna. So now, yes.
I love it. Dr. Rivers said, I love that, Ruby. Yes. Jaricia said, writing, journaling, get it out of you. Yes. And Jamila says she says she hugs and reassures herself afterwards and reminds herself that those emotions are okay. And I think that's so big, important too, right? Allow whatever's rising up, tend to it, get it out so that it's no longer lodged in your body, and then process it. All right, Brother Umoja, here you are. Man, what do you do? What do you do?
I like to exercise.
Yes.
I like to exercise. It gets.
And I like it when you exercise.
It's a family show, after all.
Okay, my bad, y'all. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's my way. It releases tension in me because I mean I've always been a physical person, going back to my high school days, track and field and gymnastics, and then martial arts. So I always felt like it puts where I'm able to break a sweat and I feel good, and it feels really good and stuff like that, and it's healthy too.
Yeah.
So that's what for me.
And you found a direct correlation between your pressure and exercising. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I find out when I exercise, my pressure just goes down. I guess and that goes up to my blood flow and everything like that. And when I don't exercise, I see my pressure goes up, and I'm like, okay. So I start exercising, I find out my pressure goes down, and it feels better. I used to get headaches. I don't get the headaches anymore, but because sometimes we subconsciously put pressure on ourselves and we don't realize we're doing it. And so like journaling, exercising, sauna, things that make you just stop sometimes mentally and just concentrate on yourself. When you concentrate, I feel like when I concentrate on myself, it's just like it's my little selfish moment for me, and I just find that works really well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, and so I think we're going to close out with that. It's okay to do self-care. It is okay to be selfish and focus on yourself and give yourself what you need. It's not about, what do I want to say? I don't even want to go with what it's not about. It is about you taking care of yourself. And that is what is important. And so in this Mental Health Awareness Month, we definitely want you to take time out and do some things for yourself. Take time and breathe, right? Focus solely on your breathing. You can set it for 1 minute and do it. You'll feel the difference as you inhale through your nose and then exhale through your mouth. Give yourself, I have my clients do 1 minute meditations. Now, in the whole 24 hours, I think you can spend time 1 minute focusing on your breathing. If you want to take 2 minutes, if you want to get really radical and give yourself 3 minutes, 1 minute, 3 times a day, have at it. It will make a difference in you. We know practicing gratitude is important as well. Looking at those things that you are grateful and thankful for is very important. Visualizing, dancing, laughing, enjoying your life becomes very important. Having healthy relationships with self as well as with others and taking time to be by yourself to really get to know who you are. These are just some simple strategies, but you're being very intentional about them. All right, let's go around. Dr. Ramontal, what do people need to know? Where do people need to follow you? And how do they get in contact with you for services that you have?
Thank you. So I am Medical Tourism RN on all platforms, social media platforms, and I am a patient care advocate. So if you know anyone that needs any advocacy services in terms of support navigating the healthcare system, whether it's legal, clinical, financial, I am here for you. And you can reach me at www.medicaltourismrn.com. And I offer 15-minute free consultations, just a discovery call to kind of see what you may need and see if I have the right services for you, or I can refer you to someone else. So
excellent.
Thank you.
Ruby Burke, what do people need to know? How do they need to buy some of your books and things like that?
Well, right now I'm working on another series for my Yap Yap book, inspired by my father. It's a book about the young boy and his grandfather comes to live with him, and he has Alzheimer's. So I'm working on that, and I'm hoping, well, working on, God willing, I'll be finished with my history series for children before Black History Month.
All right. And Brother Umoja, what do people need to know? What do they need to follow?
Well, they can follow me on our website, because then they'll see all the things we're working on. We have had a tremendous positive response to the Kadaga web series, because we're actually talking about something that's an issue in our community. We're talking about talking and letting it out. We're talking about something that's an international issue, and it hits all of us in some, either directly or through someone we love. So the web series is coming out. Season 4 is coming out in June, on June 23rd. And so Kadaga, so you can go to the website, or you go to YouTube, UCCN TV, and follow us on the YouTube channel, or the website, umojaphoto.com.
All right, fantastic. And you all know you can follow what I'm doing at askdrwalls.com, AskDrWalls, on all platforms. On YouTube, it is Ask Dr. Walls 525. We encourage you, please subscribe to each of our YouTube channels. It only takes one moment. Click the button. There's so much information we have for you. It is free. We have to get over 1,000. Some people have gotten over 1,000, Dr. Ramontal, and we need to keep those numbers growing and climbing. All right. And
you should say Kalia.
Oh, Kalila, it's me, Kadaga, Kalila.
That's right. That's right. And so we encourage you to continue to attend to your mental health and your wellness and your well-being. There is nothing wrong with that. All right. I look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday. I will be doing a live in-person show with Naeem Turner. He is a motivational speaker. He was also a recent cast member on why am I blanking on the name of the show? It's in the write-up, but it's on the OWN network, For the Love. I think it's For the Love of, or something like that. But yeah, so I'll be interviewing him next Wednesday at 7 p.m. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification. You'll see the flyer is already up. And he's also talking about mental health. He's a mental health advocate as well. So until we meet again, as always, God bless and continue to live your greatest life. And one final shout out to Dr. Jamila Rivers. Congratulations on defending your dissertation and crossing over today. All right, y'all. We'll see you again. Be well.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Okay, we are 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think we're now ending the stream.